Hello and welcome to my channel. My name's Ali and in today's video I'm going to be talking about why chinchillas sometimes make the screaming sound. So anyway, this is a question I get asked a lot. Why does my chinchilla scream and cry for no reason? And yes, it is true that sometimes chinchillas do this for seemingly no reason. Yes, with screaming and crying, it can be a sign that your chinchilla is in pain. So it's always best to go and check on them when they are having moments where they are crying and screaming. However, sometimes it does just seem to happen out of the blue for no reason. And what I have found with my chinchillas, when they make that crying and screaming sound just out of the blue, it normally is during the day when they are asleep. So chinchillas can actually dream, and quite often they sleep with their eyes open as well, which makes you think they're awake when they're actually asleep. And you know, sometimes they do end up making the screaming, crying sound in their sleep. And the only thing that I can think of is that it could be they're having a little bit of a bad dream, or they've got a fright in their dream and they've been half asleep, half awake. Normally they make this sound and then run around the cage like a lunatic for a minute and then go back to sleep again. It's almost like a little nightmare for them, and they've just made this screaming sound just because they're feeling uneasy, and they're normally asleep when they do it. And then they wake up and do a little bit of a run around the cage. Also, because this sound is so associated with chinchillas being extremely frightened or in pain, yes, we do often go and check on them when they make this noise. And chinchillas are pretty smart cookies. They know that if they make this sound, you're going to go over to their cage and check on them. And some chinchillas, once they know that, hey, this noise and this sound makes my owner come over and give me a fuss, I'm going to make it more often, which is sometimes why you'll hear it when they are awake and for seemingly no reason at all. They can be a bit silly and make this noise when they're suffering from mild pain, like literally falling off a ledge or something like that, and not really hurting themselves massively, but they still will cry. Quite often, if your chinchilla is making this sound for seemingly no reason at all and it's during the day, it could be that they've been asleep and they've just got a fright. Either they've had a bad dream and they've been half asleep, half awake and making this noise, or they've been fully asleep and making this noise, and then they finally wake themselves up and then they run around the cage for a little bit and then settle back down again. And if it's during the evening time when they are fully awake, it could be, if they've not injured themselves or they're not scared, it could just simply be they have learned that making this noise will make their owner come over to them. So it's a bit of a catch-22, because you do want to check on them when they make this noise, because it can be a sign that they've hurt themselves, but it can also be a sign that they're just wanting attention. It is a tricky one, because you want to make sure that your chinchilla's all right, but they can use it for attention sometimes. So yeah, so if your chinchilla does make this sound, obviously go check on them, make sure they're all right. But if they are all right, don't panic too much, because at the end of the day, they can make this sound for what seems like no reason at all, and it could be just simply that they've had a bad dream, or it could be that they're just trying to get your attention. Also, seemingly the same thing, I get a lot of questions as to why does my chinchilla alarm bark at night, why does my chinchilla alarm bark during the day, why does my chinchilla alarm bark when they're asleep? And the same reasons. Chinchillas will alarm bark whenever they feel that there is even the slightest chance of there being a predator nearby, or they get even slightly freaked out, they can make the alarm bark sound. And this can happen during the day, during the night, anytime, and it can happen in their sleep as well, because again, if they're dreaming, they can be dreaming about all kinds of things. We don't really know what chinchillas dream about, and yes, if he's dreaming about a predator, they may well alarm bark in their sleep, and they may well alarm bark at night. And initially they may alarm bark because they genuinely do feel threatened by something, a shadow going past the room, a strange noise. Again, after a while, they can start doing it as a sign that they want attention. So for example, if they learn that when they alarm bark, you're going to go over to them and make a fuss of them, they may start doing it because they know that you're going to give them attention. Now, do I think that chinchillas are manipulative like that? I don't know if they are or not, but I certainly do know they do sometimes know that if they make that sound, you are going to go over them and give them a fuss. But majority of the time it is because they are slightly freaked out by something. As the same with the screaming, it normally is that they are freaked out or scared. What they're scared by might not be actually something that's going to threaten them in any way, shape or form, like a bad dream or like silly things like a strange noise. Yeah, don't worry too much if they make this sound. Obviously, go and check on them and make sure they're okay. But sometimes they do just make these sounds just because they're slightly frightened, and it could be the fact they've had a bad dream. That's about the end of it. So yeah, just check on them, make sure they're okay. But if they are, don't worry too much more than that. I hope you found this video informative, and I hopefully will see you in another video soon. So goodbye for now.